Everyone, thank you for being here. I'd like to call to order the Village of Lake Zurich Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, July 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. So first thing we do is call the roll, please. Colleen?
Commissioner Castillo.
Present.
Commissioner Giannini is absent. Commissioner Gloaz.
Present.
Commissioner Marks.
Present.
Commissioner Morrison.
Present.
Commissioner Muir is absent and excused. Commissioner Schultz.
Present.
Chairman Stratman.
Here. Thanks, Colleen. So let the record show that we do have a quorum for this evening's meeting. And just a clarification, Mr. Morrison, who is an alternate member tonight because we have absences, will be a full voting member. So thank you, Scott. Then the next thing this evening will be a consideration of the minutes and findings of the commission from the June 19th, 24 meeting. So commissioners, after you've looked them over, are there any changes, corrections that we need to make? Seeing none?
Wait,
Oh, go ahead, Ilda.
just a minor detail.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My last name is SCH, not SH. I mean, throughout the minutes, you had SCH. That's okay, but
She just didn't see the seat.
she didn't see that there, oh.
All right,
Right.
so then I would entertain a motion to approve the June 19th, 2024 PCC minutes with the amendment as noted.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Hilda. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Castillo.
Aye.
Commissioner Gloaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Marks.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz.
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. And I also want to note that the new minute format is much appreciated, Colleen. Very detailed, thank you. Then moving on to our public meeting, which we do not have this evening, so then we'll go to our agenda for public hearings. So I will entertain a motion to open the public hearings for the following applications. Application PZC 2024-08 for 670 South Old Rand Road, a planned unit development, PUD. This item is continued from the June 19th meeting to address the questions and comments at that meeting. And the new items, PZC 2024-09 for 1073 Avery Ridge Circle for a fence variation. Application PZC 2024-10 for 865 Telser Road, a special use permit. And application PZC 2024-06 for 909 South Rand Road, a special use permit. Now, we have continued the one meeting from last month. The other items that are on our agenda, we'll hope to move what we can, but we are scheduled to meet tomorrow night, same time at 7 p.m., to address those items on the agenda so that they will be covered under the week and under the notification. So, do I have the motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Scott. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Castillo.
Yes.
Commissioner Gloaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Marks.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz.
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. Then the next thing we do is anyone wishing to speak tonight needs to be sworn in. So if you would please stand, raise your right hand, and we can do that, please. Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you. When you come to the podium, please sign in on the sheet if you have not already done so at the podium, and at the beginning of your statement, stating your name, spelling it out if necessary, and then state your address for the record. All comments will be addressed to this PZC chair. Any members of the public wishing to make comments will be invited one by one to the podium to provide their comment. The chairperson may limit repetitious or inappropriate comments and impose reasonable time limits in accordance with any rules of the PZC. The applicant will be given the opportunity to present their application. After the applicant's presentation, the PZC members will be able to ask questions one by one of the applicants, and discussion can occur. After the PZC questions have been addressed, public testimony will be received, and the PZC commissioner comments or additional questions can ensue. After all persons are given the opportunity to speak, the hearing will be closed or continued, and the PCC will move into deliberation. The applicant may be given the opportunity to respond to questions posed by either the members of the PCC or the village staff during deliberation. However, no more formal testimony will be taken after the hearing is closed unless the chair decides otherwise. Once all deliberation has ended, the PCC will vote on a recommendation to the village board on the matter. So, moving on to the next, we have agenda item 4A, which is application PCC 2023-08 for 670 South Old Rand Road, the planned unit development. This application was continued from the June 19th, 2024 meeting. It's an application for a special use permit for planned unit development, PUD, and a map amendment for the property, development of the property with a mix of single-family homes and townhomes located within the R12 single-family residential district. But staff, before I have you introduce the applicants, just a bit of housekeeping. The prime function of the Planning and Zoning Commission is that we are a fact-finding commission. We're to gather facts, hear the petitioner's presentation, have a discussion, and then make a recommendation to the village board. But in order to do that, it's important that we are making our decision based upon facts. What happened last month, we let testimony take place that deviated from that. And so because these meetings are a matter of record for the village, it's just as we did with the minutes, where we reviewed the minutes and see if changes need to be made, and we made one for spelling, okay? The meeting record needs to be amended so that the record going to the village board is correct. So if there's non-factual testimony provided, we need to correct it. And so, without further discussion, I'll go to Sarosh Sahir for his findings on what the discrepancies were last month before we move into presentation this evening. Sarosh, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. At this point in time, I'd like to answer any questions that were raised at the last meeting by public testimony, as well as clarify some of the points that were made as well. At the last meeting, it was stated that the property consists of a wetland area that is proposed to be developed. We would like to clarify that only 2 acres of the approximately 9 acres of the property are wetlands. Those wetlands are proposed to be maintained as open space. The creek is also being proposed to be restored and to its stream banks, as well as new stormwater detention facilities to be proposed within that open space. The majority of the development will take place south of those approximately 2 acres within the approximately 7.14 acres that is buildable. There were comments made about the trend of development not being in complete concert with the existing homes within this neighborhood. We looked at the general area rather than the immediate neighborhood itself. The general trend of the neighborhood includes a number of commercial and service uses immediately north and adjacent to this property that consist of large office buildings, doctor's office building, a school building, a church, and a funeral home. That trend stops just north of the property. This particular property is this particular development is proposing townhomes, a mix of townhomes and single family, which in our ordinance should serve as they transition from those dissimilar zoning districts to the single family zoning districts that are currently within the immediate neighborhood and to the south of this property. Additionally, there are neighborhoods of various zoning classifications within the residential district itself. Immediately to the west, there are properties zoned within the R4 single-family residential district along Grand Avenue, and then there are properties zoned within the R5 zoning district within Heatherly subdivision, as well as the Redbridge Farm subdivision. R4 properties are developed with approximately 15,000 square feet or more sized lots, whereas the R5 zoning districts are developed with approximately 10,000 square foot lots. So there is a little bit of a change in trend over there. But in general, we will agree that most of the surrounding neighborhoods to the west, south, and the east are developed with single-family homes. The nearest townhome subdivision is to the north along Old Rand Road, where it intersects with Route 22, which is about a half a mile away. The general trend also of the types of homes immediately to the south, I should say, when we stated were older vintage homes, what we meant to say were homes constructed during the 1960s or before, not necessarily implying that they were old or junky homes, as was stated at the meeting. Most of the homes within the surrounding subdivisions are either single-story or two-story homes, with a large number of them also being story-and-a-half homes. The proposal that you see before you today contains two-story single-family homes along the easterly and northerly portion of the proposed subdivision, and a revised format for two-story townhomes facing North Old Rand Road. And I believe the applicant will discuss that in greater detail. There was discussion with regards to the density being proposed, that the density was not in keeping with the density of the surrounding neighborhoods. And that is correct, but that is not what we intended to say in our discussion. What we intended to say in our discussion was that the density of the proposed townhomes and the single-family homes is largely in keeping with similar subdivisions, which are other townhomes within the village itself. And at this time, there are 8 other townhome subdivisions with densities averaging from between 4.5 units per acre, all the way to around 15 to 17 units per acre, depending on their location. The typical density we see is about 6 units per acre. This proposal is proposing 5.01 units per acre after the revisions that they have proposed.
Sarosh, question. Is the subdivision behind the Costco one of those?
That is actually, I would say, the Concord subdivision. That actually has a much higher density. That's between 11 and 15 square units per acre. A question was asked as to what the date of the traffic study was and when the data was gathered. The date of the traffic study was May of 2024, with specific dates on which data was gathered as being April 22nd and 23rd of 2024 itself. There were also comments made, and this is a little more subjective, that every single neighbor is opposed to this subdivision. At this time, staff had witnessed at the last meeting that there were only 5 homeowners that had shown to the meeting, and there may be more today, but we do have subdivisions that number in units in excess of a couple of hundred. And so we have not heard from them. We did inform all property owners within 250 feet of the subject property, and have only seen maybe 1 or 2 within that buffer area either provide testimony or attend the meetings to provide their testimony. And finally, there was a comment made that the townhomes facing Bushing Road would be directly above the existing home at 700 South Old Rand Road. We did take a measurement through our GIS maps, and it shows that the nearest wall of that structure is approximately 45 feet from the lot line. From that point, if you add the setback that the development is proposing, which is approximately 20 feet, that would be approximately 65 feet from the nearest home to the south. As you will note from your packet, the proposal by the applicant is to properly screen the proposed development from single-family homes to the south by means of a solid fence, as well as year-round landscaping in the form of evergreen and deciduous trees, shrubs, and plant material. And that, I understand, is the extent of our comments at this time. And we'd be happy to answer more as the public hearing ensues.
All right, thank you, Sarosh. And then would you reintroduce our
Yes, please.
applicant again, please?
Thank you. Again, I'd like to introduce Mr. Larry Friedman, attorney representing the developer OSK Capital Partners. Mr. Friedman.
Thank you. For the record, it's Lawrence Friedman. My address is 95 Revere Drive, Northbrook, Illinois. First of all, I want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to come back and to address the issues that you raised when we were here last month. We understand you have a crowded agenda. The fact you're even doing it over 2 nights lets us know how crowded it is. So what we're going to do is address what we perceive to have been the issues that were raised and how we think we've answered them. We have our team here to answer questions on, obviously, everything that was presented previously or tonight, but we'll try and confine our presentation to the changes that we've made to the plan and how we believe those are responsive to the concerns you expressed.
All right, Mr. Friedman, thank you.
Good evening. Again, David Hames, founding partner, Papa George Hames Partners, Architects. Pleased to be back again. I'm going to be very brief here because my colleague is going to take over. But at the last meeting, we were tasked with, well, we came away with three takeaways, three things that needed to be addressed, or we were asked to consider. One is the sight lines at the intersection of our private drive and Old Rand Road. The second is the height of the buildings that front directly on Old Rand Road. And the third is overall density, although there wasn't specific sort of guidance given on that subject. It was a matter of concern that we were asked to reconsider. And we think we've solved all those problems, so we're good to go.
Okay, then.
No, so at this,
Motion to,
I'll make it. So at this point, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Heather Faircloth. Heather is a associate in our firm. She's been with us for over 25 years. She's very seasoned and very, very talented architect. And I have to give her all the credit for all the work we've done here. So at this, I'll turn it over to Heather to fill you in on the details.
thank you. Mr. Hames?
Heather, if you need it, this controls the PowerPoint.
Okay,
There's also a remote that we have. Oh,
Yeah,
you've got it in your
that's
hand,
what
yes. Mhm.
okay. Thank you, Dave, for the lovely introduction. Heather Faircloth, 3817 North Kilbourne in Chicago. And as everyone already stated, Lawrence and Dave, we were here last month and we don't want to reiterate everything that we presented last time. So we would rather just go through the changes that we decided to make according to what happened, or according to everyone's concerns last time. So, let's see. So this is our revised site plan. I'm gonna be basing this on the 3 points that Dave just made about the density, the sight lines, and the height. So if you can see along Old Rand Road, we used to have 7 townhomes along there. Now we only have 5. And not only did we reduce the number of the overall unit count down 2 units, so we now only have 36 as opposed to 38 from the previous site plan. We also have changed the number of stories on those 5 townhomes that face Old Rand Road, so now they're only 2 stories instead of 3. So, let's see. Obviously not very good at this. So this is, you can see a blow up of, this is the intersection of Old Rand Road. Let's see.
You can also use the arrow keys on the keyboard of the laptop,
Okay.
if that'll make it easier.
Might be easier. Yeah, so you can see just the beginnings of the 2-story townhomes here that really don't look that much different than the single-family homes across from them now. So going along all of Old Rand Road, you're not gonna see this 3-story townhouse from the road like everyone was very concerned about last time. So I'm gonna flip through these. Oh, this is the site study. So from last time, people were very concerned about the sight lines that drivers would have coming in and out in our section at Old Rand Road. So what the civil engineer did was study that. We had the traffic engineer do their data, and we have a civil engineer here tonight that can explain it more than I can, but they said that, you know, basically this will work for what we already have proposed, and we're not gonna be endangering or anything for people crossing the road or people turning in or turning out of that.
Heather, if I can just interrupt for a second while we're on this topic. Understanding that the traffic people may be looking at it from the standpoint that is a 30-mile-an-hour road, and the visibility that is afforded at the intersection in keeping with 30 miles per hour affords a safe intersection.
Right.
My concern is that I drive Old Rand quite regularly. No one does 30 miles an hour. No one, okay? I do, but I mean, everyone else doesn't. And Scott, just confide to me that he does as well. So my concern is, did the engineer look at it from a standpoint of some range of error in terms of if the traffic is moving at a speed not posted speed limit, but, because my concern is, same as last month, is that people pulling out, before they do they have enough line of sight, north and south, to know that they're not going to be broadsided?
I will let Laura.
Yep, I can speak to that a little bit. Laura Rosenbauer with Erickson Engineering, a civil engineer, and I'll speak on behalf of our traffic engineer. So, to answer your question, yes, there is a factor of safety built into that study. The first part of that is, while the speed limit is 30 miles per hour, we use a design limit 5 miles per hour above that, so 35 miles per hour. And then there is a factor of safety built in for a range of driver abilities, let's say. So that is built in. You know, of course, people might be going much faster than 35 miles per hour. And to that, our response is, you know, we can't account for every scenario. We can't account for all types of illegal driving, inebriated driving. We kind of have to draw a line somewhere. So there is a factor of safety built in,
Okay.
to answer your question.
All right. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Orlando, is it okay
Yes.
to say something right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to get past me. I mean, you bring up a great point. However, I think that's more of the village's responsibility from that standpoint. Today, I went to the library, and twice, out of Heatherly, they just blew by that stop sign right in front of me. And last week, when we came to the stop sign that was right past the funeral home, a woman turned onto Old Rand Road. And the car that was next to me pulled right up to her and started yelling at her and screaming, and it got to where it could have been road rage. I mean, these things, and I see it all the time because I go up and down Midlothian, past the high school, and I gotta tell you, I have people on my butt where it says 30. And so I'm just simply saying, from that standpoint, do I respect the comment? It is one of those things where I think, and I've said it many times, if we as a village don't do our due diligence to enforce what we're supposed to be enforcing, some of these things really mean nothing.
Well, we know that the people that need to know that, well, now, because they watch these meetings, right, Saros?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, in many cases, we find that speed of traffic, and the traffic engineer can either substantiate that or provide some clarification. We find that traffic calming measures on the street sometimes are more useful at slowing down traffic than a stop sign or a traffic signal. And we find that development, sidewalks, crossings on streets, all of these serve as traffic calming measures rather than what's there right now, which is almost like a corridor of greenery where there's nothing on either side, which kind of would provide some incentive for certain drivers to pick up their speed. But if there is activity, if there is a sidewalk, if there's a crossing that's flashing, those behave as traffic calming devices, and the applicant is proposing those.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Hildy, do you have a comment? Oh, okay. Okay, Heather, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Perfectly fine.
They are controlling your presentation in the back room, so it'll come and go.
You're doing a fine job.
So I just wanted to bring this slide up. This is the, right now, the only 3-story buildings that we have on our site are located on the interior, and so you can see the height of this. This is the revised townhouse roads along Old Rand Road, and you can see just by the slides themselves, you can tell that there's a huge difference in the height. And so really coming from all sides of the site, you won't see any of those 3-story townhomes along the roads. They're all clustered on the interior of the site now.
And you have rear garage then?
Yes, they have a garage in the rear. So you can, let's see, I'll come back to those in a second. So you can see on the aerial too, well, I guess it might be harder to see on the aerial, but the garages are coming in from the back, across from the other garages on the other townhomes. We did do one more study because I know that all the neighboring homeowners and everyone in this area seemed very concerned about just the views of the site from their property. And so we did 3 different views, and it's kind of hard to imagine, but like at the top view, this is a view down Old Rand Road towards the site existing from Google Streets. And then this is a view that we computer generated with our proposed development in the background. Hard to see, but you know, there is a bunch of dense trees everywhere, and so you just don't see much of the site. The same is true for the views from Farmbridge Road and then from Handley Court. So it's not an exact apples to apples kind of thing, but you know, if we had actually put in all the trees that are existing, I don't think you'd see anything. So
Understood.
that's where we ended up.
All right, thank you, Heather.
Anyway, I think those are pretty much the changes that we have made, and I hope this meets with the village's approval.
Thanks, Heather. Just really quickly, one note I'd like to make is that the interesting thing about the revision is that we've incorporated an entirely different product type. It's a totally different unit compared to what's on the site, in the sense that they're townhomes, but they're, you know, developers would refer to them as empty nester style units. They have a ground floor primary bedroom, so they have a larger footprint. That's part of what necessitated the reduction in the density. But I was just pointing out that the side benefit is that now the development has much more diversity to it, and you know, could attract different buyers and occupants.
All right, thank
With
you.
that, though, I think you know that covers what we wanted to present, and certainly answer any questions if you have them.
All right, Mr. Ames, thank you. Commissioners, having had the opportunity to review the packet given to us over the weekend, so we're aware of the changes for the townhouse along South Old Rand. I think they've addressed the concern in terms of the size of the height of by lowering it to the 2-story, which is a big consideration, and the density by reducing that. So what were the actual number change, not the number of units, but how did the density on the site change by reducing those two?
The density went from 5.3 units per acre to 5.01 units per acre, a smaller change. Oh, units from 38 to 36.
Yes.
A reduction of 2 units.
Okay, so Commissioners, we have questions for the petitioner
No, I'll just reserve for after.
for deliberation?
Yeah,
Okay.
mhm.
Jay, at this time?
All set for now.
All right. John?
Same.
Same. Ildy?
I'm good.
Scott?
I'm good.
All right. Then I think we'll open to public comment. Anyone, is there anyone here tonight wishing to speak on this? I'm just asking. Yeah. Well, apparently there are. So you want to step forward, please?
I can give you the
You will get
list.
the sheet
Yeah,
from me and
there's
we'll
a
call my
sign-up
name.
sheet.
And then also for the record, we did receive a correspondence this evening from Mr. Harding. He submitted a letter to us that will be incorporated into the record. So we have the one copy, but we were told we'll be getting a clean copy for the final record, but we have received that. So the first name we have is Mary Ann Phillips. If you would please step forward.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Phillips, Phillips. I live at 749 South Old Rand Road in Lake Zurich. As I found out, 122 feet from the proposed new development. I did have an opportunity to look at the revised submission for the application, and frankly, I don't see that there's much of a material change in what was proposed before. I did have a specific question for the architect who might be able to answer this.
We can address it to the commission.
Yes, in keeping with the idea that we are looking at facts, she had characterized the difference in height for the units that are going to be facing Old Rand Road as a huge difference. I'm just wondering what exactly the difference is between the 3-story and the 2-story units. From what I've seen on the proposed application and the revision, it did not look like a huge difference to me, especially in keeping with,
It's 10 feet, 10 inches,
so it's 10 feet. It's just 10 feet lower then.
almost 11 feet.
Okay,
which
so 10
accounts
10
for-
feet, 10 inches.
Which is a story reduction.
At the last meeting, there were concerns that were expressed regarding traffic by the committee. The committee had expressed concerns about the traffic, the data where the development meets South Old Rand Road, sidewalks, and noted that the prices for the homes would be between $700,000 and $800,000 for the single-family homes and $500,000 or $550,000 for the townhomes. Looking at the new revised submission, frankly, going from 7 homes to 5 homes on South Old Rand Road is not a material difference. Going from 5.3 density to 5.0 density is not, to me, a significant change in the concerns that were expressed about the density for that neighborhood. Again, Chairman, you had stated at the last meeting that the owner has a right to sell his or her parcel. And I don't think anyone here in my neighborhood, and speaking for myself, disagrees with that. I believe that the owner has every right to sell the property. However, if the owner sold the property to somebody that was going to be putting single-family homes on there, I don't think that this hearing would be happening today, frankly. The buyer, whoever is purchasing that property from the owner, does not have the right to build whatever they want, wherever they want, and they have to comply with the zoning ordinances. You had mentioned on your report that the zoning ordinances include 9-18.3, 9-19.3, and 9-22.5. Looking at those ordinances, looking at the zoning ordinances, again, as I mentioned last time in discussing the ordinances, 9-19.103A, 2, 3, and 5 mention an undue adverse impact, impacting the character of the area. And yes, in fact, building multi-unit development in a very small space, 7.1 acres, does significantly impact the character of our area, which is predominantly single-family homes in the immediate vicinity. Regardless of the fact that there are townhomes a half-mile away, in the exact vicinity where this proposed development is going to take place, it's completely out of character with the single-family homes there, the homes that were built, like my own, in the 50s and 60s. Looking at the interference with the surrounding development, at 103 A3, it should not dominate the immediate vicinity or interfere with the use of the neighboring property. And in fact, yes, it will dominate the immediate vicinity. It will be a huge difference in the character of our neighborhoods, from Farm Bridge to Heatherly, and to the the tiny like my own, tiny single-family homes that are in that immediate vicinity. No traffic impact. In fact, it was acknowledged at the last meeting that there will be more cars on the road, period. There will be between 26 and 31 more cars during more trips during the time period that was measured. Looking at, again, at the zoning ordinances, 919-103C, public benefit. I don't see what the public benefit is here in building a multi-unit development in that area, as opposed to a single-family units in that area. The public benefit at the last meeting was stated that it would provide more homes for single-family, for first-time homebuyers or retirees. I don't know that retirees are going to be spending $700,000 on a new home. I don't know. I mean, I'm a retiree, and that was not in the consideration when I purchased the home at 749 South Old Rand Road in last February. So ultimately, I just wanted to say, again, wrapping this up, I reviewed the overall site plan. The number of units has gone from 38 to 36 units. So the density is still virtually the same, changes by 0.3. And the height, they've changed the height by 11 feet. I'll give it 11 feet, which is, to me, not a huge difference in what is in the immediate vicinity. So, again, looking at the facts, I would ask, at least as far as what is consistent with the application, what is consistent with the character of the immediate vicinity, this proposed multifamily unit, multifamily units and multifamily townhomes and row homes is completely out of character with the immediate vicinity. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up would be Mr. Levine, please. Gary Levine.
Gary Levine, 749
Sorry.
South Old Rand Road. It's all right. You wouldn't know it unless I said it. Just briefly, I wanted to say that while I appreciate the architectural drawings, I'm not sure they would be admitted in a court of law because they're not accurate as far as they depict the road. They show the nice wide Old Rand Road with little bitty cars. It's actually not that way, and that's not an accurate depiction. That is actually the narrowest portion of the road in which we're going to put this intersection. So I don't think whoever developed that road planned on having an intersection there. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Levine, sorry. I'll get it right. Next on our list would be Mr. Brian Hart.
Hi, good evening. Brian Hart, H-A-R-T. I live at 763 Handley Court in the Heatherly subdivision. And a couple concerns about the development. I'm in the lighting industry. I actually know David Hames. One of the concerns I have is light trespass. We're looking at a angle of departure from the development going uphill towards Old Rand. Means headlights are going to be coming in, egress into our neighborhood. Currently, we live on a very private pond with a lot of wildlife. It's fantastic. I'm a photographer. I capture this stuff all the time. It's really cool to have night and privacy. That's one of the reasons we built the house here after being previous residents of Lake Zurich. So as we've moved in, we've lived here 22 years. We've come to love the place. That is immaterial to the comments tonight. Here's one of the problems that I see. Light trespass is a big one. We don't do a good job in this town of talking about light trespass. If we look at what was happening when they put in the railroad, every night I get to look at a very, very high-powered spotlight that goes into my bedroom from the uncontrolled rail line of CN Rail. It comes right in my room every night, and you see it. So we're not doing a good job in shielding. So the first thing I would say is, whatever plan we're enacting tonight, get some damn shielding in there so that the light is not shining in everybody's home. I also talk about the foliage facing Old Rand Road. You know, the comment was made tonight by Heather Faircloth, which was well pointed and informed. Hey, this looks great when it's spring and summer and we have full foliage. You know, 6 months out of the year, we have a lot of just bare views to a lot of nasty stuff. And so the trespass angle is not just about full light in summer when it's all blocked, because man, it's beautiful when it's blocked. It's about what happens when it's bare and what kind of nastiness we're gonna have. Let's talk also about Old Rand, because I travel it every day. I've lived here, like I said, a long time. I use that road daily. There's a couple things. I'm also a bicyclist. First of all, there's no bike lane on Rand, on Old Rand. There is no point of egress should a car try to pull out of the development. If there's a point of contact impending, there's no getaway for the car that pulls out. There's no shoulder on that road. And if we're gonna change our plan to include a shoulder, that changes the entire integrity of this design and the entire flow of traffic on Old Rand. Now, having been here 22 years, I know how fast people go on that road. I see it every day. I think no one in town could be naive to the fact that people go way too fast on that road. Now we're gonna talk about a flashing light that you're gonna ask somebody to enact like we have up by scoreboard. That is a last second call. When someone's going 40 miles an hour and a little kid on a bike hits that light, he thinks they're gonna stop. If you don't have a way to stop safely on the side of that road before you get rear-ended or possibly have another head-on collision, we've got a problem here. That is an extraordinarily narrow part of the roadway. We can't ignore that. Also, let's talk about the cost of the multi-units. And again, I have no objection to our friends selling their property at all. I think we all get into real estate, try to make some money. But $500,000 for a condo, that's not entry level in this town. There's a lot of housing stock available south of $500,000. So if someone really has their heart set on moving into our fine community, they have the ability to get in there at a very reasonable price without having this particular stock of housing within the property. And I think finally, if we do an aerial view and we fly over both sides of this development, and we look to the Heatherly side, we see single-family homes and a beautiful green pond and everything. If we go to the other side, across Bushing, we see single-family homes. There's a little island in the middle that we would have at least in talking to my neighbors, we would have a lot less problem with the plan if they were single-family homes. Because as soon as we start talking about multi-tenancy, we start talking about significant amounts more light required for that adjacency. We start talking about more lighting required for the driveways, for the parking, for the units themselves. And you start having, again, that more light trespass. We got the nastiness in the sky from the Walmart and all that already in Lake Zurich. One of the nice things about this little pod here is that it's dark. And that's a really sweet thing, because there aren't many places you go in Lake Zurich where you have a superstore, literally a Walmart and a Costco, 600 yards from your house with no light trespass, which is what we currently enjoy. My fear is that the light trespass is gonna come from the east with this development. So if we can address those things, that'd be great. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Now, just to comment on that real quickly here, in terms of the lighting issue, one of the reviews that has to happen for the project, before the project can proceed, is there needs to be, and I'll let Sarosh address that technically.
We do have a section, chapter in our zoning code for illumination, both at the boundary of a property as well as within the central of the central location of the property. At any given point along the boundary, illumination cannot exceed half a foot candle. And within the property, illumination cannot exceed 10-foot candles anywhere on the property. And so we are holding the applicant to those standards. And in this particular case, any street lighting will be internal to the property. If there is street lighting at the entries or the exits, those will have to be shielded to cause all light to fall solely within the boundaries of the property and not trespass the boundary of the property to either the west or the east.
But would that light the Old Grand Road roadway,
Uh,
where the intersection is happening?
Could you come to
Because-
the microphone because we're recording
sorry.
this?
Then my question would be, at the confluence of the outbound people leaving the development and Old Grand Road, as just a core piece of basic road safety lighting, I would assume that the lighting would have to also spill onto Old Grand Road. It's not gonna simply be thrown onto the property. You have to have lighting where there is an intersection so that people can safely see what's happening in said intersection up ahead. So your point, no offense, if you're throwing out a light on the property, that does not illuminate the roadway. Is that correct?
I think the goal wasn't to eliminate the roadway, was to eliminate the areas within the property, but I will defer to the architect or their engineer to maybe talk about that a little bit more as well.
But if a car is waiting to go into that intersection,
Their
wouldn't you have
headlights-
a light, a street light?
Overhead light.
An overhead street light?
Yes.
Are they proposing one at this point?
I didn't see one.
Not that I know of.
No, I don't believe we have. And by the way, just as a refresher, we have provided a lighting study to address these concerns. And it's not, notwithstanding the fact that we're certainly willing to work with the village to satisfy all the objectives.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hart. I think next on our list is Elizabeth Hart, if I'm reading that correctly.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hart. I'm 763 Handley Court as well, obviously my husband. Want to capitalize or add to some of the comments that he made, and also just let you know, as far as the density is concerned, going from 38 to 36, myself, my husband, my neighbor who's here, other neighbors who are not here, Elise Hood's been here 4 times. It is just not a material amount of reduction. I did a little bit of math, right, based on the values that you guys stated, 500,000 and 700,000. 18 each, the value is 21.6 million, if I did my math right. If you were able to put those into single-family homes, so 7 acres, quarter acre each, which is the size of my lot in the neighborhood across the way, you'd be at 700 to 800,000. You're probably within $1 million of that, right? Between 19.6 and 20.6 million dollars, right? So it's $1 million difference in terms of overall property valuations if you went to single-family homes on reasonable size lots. Okay, so going back to the point that I don't think anybody would be here if we were on single-family homes, tax revenue to the village, almost exactly the same, right? Profit to you guys, almost exactly the same. The property owner's gonna get what they're gonna get. So I still don't understand why we can't go to a single-family home, purely single-family home model. Let's see, what else? He's already addressed the flashing light crosswalk question that I have. And then the other thing that I thought was a little bit odd was the fact that they informed people within 250 feet of the property. I'd love to know how many homes are in that radius to make comment, because the comparison that you mentioned earlier, if I heard you correctly, was that, we haven't heard from anybody in these neighborhoods except for the people that are here. And we informed people within 250 feet radius of the property. How many houses is that? 40? 30? Right? I don't remember getting one.
I don't know the number.
So, needless to say, if you want opinions, maybe throw out a larger net, right? So, nonetheless, my big point is the density, the fact that the valuation, if you move to single-family homes on quarter-acre lots, which is what I have, is nearly the same, and we would stop showing up and you could get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, just in terms of, broadening the net, the meeting this evening was published on benchmarks on the village website, as was last month's, as have been all of them previously to this. And then the other issue about the density, we appreciate the comments, but this current revision takes us from 38 to 36. But this is a reduction from previous proposal that we'd seen from, we started at how many?
We started at 54, then we went to 52, then we went to 38.
Right. So there have been substantial progress made.
It's still not enough.
May never be, but we have made substantial.
If there are any comments that are going to be made, you come to the podium,
Yeah.
otherwise you don't say them.
I'm
Thank
just
you,
saying,
Antonio.
you could do 28 single-family homes for the same value and in that same area, right? Same thing that we all have on Hanley Court. 28 single-family, and again, we'll stop coming.
Please.
Mr. Chairman, if you'd like, I can clarify how many property owners within
We're not,
250
yeah,
feet.
you have
There
that
were-
number?
Yes, there were 40 property owners within 250 feet. And the 250 feet comes from state statute. The state requires, as part of a public hearing of a municipality, that at a minimum, property owners within 250 feet be notified of a public hearing. The Village of Lake Zurich has adopted that standard because at some point we have to draw the line as to how we notify property owners directly. We also publish a legal notice of the meeting in the newspapers no less than 15 days prior to the public hearing, and also post one sign at a major street in front of the property, and that was all done. So we met the minimum requirements that the state requires every municipality to notify its community of a public hearing.
Thank you, Sarosh.
Could I make a quick comment? I just wanted to, this is Mary Ann Phillips again, I just wanted to speak to that sign. That sign is posted in front of the owner's home facing Old Rand Road. It is not, it's not actually facing the traffic. So, I mean, I can't read it from my house, which is
Good.
across the street.
Be good.
So I just wanted to clarify the fact that while there is signage, it's not very visible, especially for people going 40 miles an hour down the street.
Right.
Yes,
I need
we
to make a
understand
point
that.
of clarification. Besides the comment that Commissioner Castillo made about comments must be made to the microphone, this is not open mic night at Ernie's. You have your bite at the apple, but, we can't let everyone just keep continuing. Thank you. Next up would be Henry Jorn, the arm wrestling champ.
Hi, my name's Henry Jorn, 188 Rabbit Run, Ingleside, Illinois. And I am one of the owners of 5 people. It's in a trust. My dad purchased a property before 1970. So we've been having, some of our family members have lived in that house for, 20, 30 years. We've been paying the taxes for all those years, everything else. In 1970, Lake Zurich's population was around 4,000. It was all farmland. There was land all over the place. You could build, subdivisions. You could make the lots as big as you want. Now, there's 20,000 residents. There's no land left. Aren't you going to want to maximize? I'm not saying completely maximize, but get the most out of it as far as opportunity for people to move to Lake Zurich. It's a great town. Schools are great. I love it. I lived here 7 years. It's beautiful. I think everything you guys have done is fantastic, and I don't have any other factual things to say. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Next would be Bill.
Okay, for the record, I'm Bill Jorn. I live at 1705 Heather Drive. And just so you know, I'm the younger brother.
We knew.
So I just want to tell you a couple things. First off, we have owned that property for over 50 years, and the house is much older. I believe it was built around 1940 or so. And it's kind of getting dilapidated now. We are not planning to rebuild this house. There's a barn that needs work too, So as far as what everybody's seeing right now when they drive by, they're seeing a house that's like ready to get knocked down. So what they're gonna see if this project goes through, which I hope, is you're gonna see nice homes, nice landscaping, maintained properties. So to me, it's not gonna be an eyesore whatsoever. It's probably gonna be a blessing in disguise. So that's how I feel about it. The other thing I wanna say is, we've been very patient with this process, and there's been a lot of changes made to try and work it out so that the village is happy, the people are happy, everybody's happy, and I think we've gone quite a long ways with this, so I think it's time to get it done.
Thank you, Bill.
And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Next would be Linda Jordan, please.
Hi, I'm Linda Jorn. I live at 1705 Heather Drive in Algonquin. I'm the wife of Bill Jorn, who's one of the owners along with his brother and sisters of the property on Rand Road. It's been a long, almost 3 years trying to get this sale completed. There have been a lot of changes along the way, and there have been a lot of talks and negotiating during all this time between the buyer and ourselves. And we feel we have a good buyer who is not willing to give up, and the village will have a good developer to work with. Every time a change was needed to be done, and there were many times, it cost the buyer a lot of money, but he's made a lot of changes. And along the way, we really feel the board and the residents will be happy with what they've come up with now. As for the comments from some of the residents, although we do appreciate the feelings, you have a much different feeling when you're living right there, and we do understand that. But we do have a large town here, and we can't know the feelings of everyone. Unfortunately, people that are opposed to something are more apt to voice their concerns rather than people that either agree or just neutral. And for the residents, we truly understand the concerns you have for your surrounding property, but we think this plan shows the buyer is listening to you and will really be a good fit for your community. If this all falls through, we're still going to be looking for another buyer, and we won't sure what that plan will be. So change is coming one way or another, and we want it to be something that everyone can be happy with compromises all around. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for your comments. Next would be Mr. Hilt. Are you on this topic, or, okay.
Good evening. My name is Michael Hilt. I live at 598 Dunhill Drive in Lake Zurich. And my comments on this project are, one is about just Old Rand Road itself. Old Rand Road in this area of the development is in significant need of rebuild or repair at a minimum, or repaving at a minimum. With the work that the developer is doing to install sidewalks, crosswalks, street lighting, and pedestrian warning systems, there could be some economies of scale if the village were to partner with the developer to coordinate all of this work, including any road construction, road rebuilding, to happen all at the same time. Perhaps the partnership could even go as far as to include some financial support from the developer to put towards that project. It's just an idea that I had to avoid a situation of having to do some of the same work twice. The other comment that I have about the project is that I understand that the neighborhood will have a homeowners association and that the HOA will be responsible for the repairs and maintenance of all the roads in the neighborhood. I also understand from the information in the packet that that would include snow removal. A question is does that include the repairs and replacement of items like curbs and gutters, and again, repaving or replacing streets in the future? That seems like an awful large expense for the homeowners to have to bear in their monthly assessment fees. I don't know if there's any other existing neighborhoods in Lake Zurich where the HOA does the snow plowing and street maintenance. If there are, how has the snow removal been working out in those areas? Have they been happy with it? Have they had to call the village to be for assistance when we have a big 10, 12-inch snowfall? I don't know, just curious to know. Have any of those HOAs been in existence long enough to require road or curb and gutter repairs or replacements? I just, again, just wanted to see how that all played out. Did their assessments cover those replacements, or was there some problem that happened, you know, when it came time to have those expenses? To me, it just doesn't make sense that the residents should have to pay for repairs and replacement of roadways. That seems better placed with the municipality, as they have much more experience in managing infrastructure items as compared to a homeowners association. So, thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Hilt. And Ms. Roche, do we want to just have that answer determined through Public Works to have them see it, or do you know about the HOAs currently?
I can tell you that there are HOAs for more recent developments that have taken over the maintenance, snow removal, and all of those functions. Examples are Canterbury Town's very recent development, Sanctuary of Lake Zurich, also a very recent development. Prior to that, townhomes such as the ones in our central business district, the Main Street area, those are also now under the management of the ownership of the properties, and we have not heard any complaints as yet. But again, I'll qualify that by saying that these are approximately 10 years or so. The very older ones we have not heard from. We've had discussions with some, but some of them have actually come back saying that over time, because road maintenance is not an every year activity, it happens once in 15
Plan,
years.
right.
Some of them have taken a long-term look at this and have, through their assessments, built up a fund for roadway improvements, and have kind of like more or less been able to cope with that. But I guess time will only tell as we get roads that kind of get older in age, whether if a major repair takes place, would those funds be able to cover it? We don't know that, and I don't believe we would have that information.
And then the other comment they made was the condition of the road itself in terms of the intersection improvements that would be made as part of the planned development going in, to coordinate that with our Public Works group to see what Mike has in plan for Southfield Rand.
We have a 25-year capital improvement plan, a CIP as we refer to it, where road maintenance throughout the village is outlined. I don't know where in that plan Rand Road Rise, but we're willing to look into it.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we have Sharang Patel.
Hi, my name is Chirag Patel, Chirag Patel, 747 Handley Court. We have been in Lake Zurich for last 25 years, and the traffic on Old Rand, we have seen with our own eyes, at least triple or quadrupled. And no one in this room can guarantee what's going to happen, in future, regardless of what studies we make. Especially with the advent of the GPS, they route people through different routes, and we've seen a lot of traffic on Old Rand, especially with DMV. All those people basically drive through Old Rand Road. And 3 years ago, on Lake Zurich, which is a single lane, each way, on Midlothian, 2 girls were walking at night, and they were run over, lost lives. Lives that are lost are not going to come back. This is not a city of Chicago, where you can cramp tall, skyscrapers and cramp as many families as you want. This is a village, This should be kept as a village. That's all I want to say.
Okay,
Thank
thank you for your comments. All right, next on our list is Mr. Freeman, but I think we've heard from him and from Heather as well. So that's all the lists of the people that have signed in. So that would be end of the public comment. And so then, commissioners, before we move to deliberation, do we have comments for the petitioner before we look to close?
Again, I'll reserve that until after we have our
Go to
discussion.
deliberation, okay. Then I'll check. Anyone else before we move? Hildy?
I just have a question. I don't remember who it was that brought it up, but the exit out of the proposed subdivision would be facing, you'd be coming out and facing, I guess, Heatherly? Is that correct? Does Heatherly have trees or anything that's, you know, on that side of the road that blocks or does anything? Because, I mean, I know nobody wants to spend additional money, but regardless of how this goes, that is a possibility, I suppose. I'm not sure you can,
Well, respectfully, I don't know exactly there is a berm, there's a man-made pond at the end of Heatherly Court, and there's a berm that Lake Zurich put in when that was built. I think the question is, where is the egress point exactly relative to that berm in terms of the trespass? If cars are going up a
Yeah.
hill, is it gonna hit the berm? If it does, the berm is actually very well vegetated. Mike's done a great job from the village, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
So if that's the case, a lot of those light trespass concerns will be mitigated in terms of the automotive.
okay.
Yeah, I just don't know exactly
We
where
don't
that
know.
comes out on the
I
plan.
don't, I mean, I guess that would be, you know, maybe one of my questions.
Laura, I guess a question for you. Do you know where the exit from the subdivision, as proposed, is going to be relative to the road going into Heatherly?
I would recommend that they put up their site plan. That'll show it clearly.
It looks like it's the southern part, it would, like, directly across from the southern part of the pond, southernmost point of the pond, but
So
what do I know?
This view doesn't show the driveway.
Is it approximately where the existing driveway is?
Can you see it from this?
Heatherly's way down here.
I mean, you can see the existing drive is right across from the pond. You can see all the
Heatherly's
trees
way the hell
Way
over
over
from the
here.
aerial.
That's
Then what the
correct.
hell is this? Heck,
Is the pond they're talking about.
no, they're
I'm
talking
sorry,
about
Heather,
the
say that
pond
again.
But there,
in
but
Heather.
Heatherly, here, because they have the
But
tennis
we
courts.
don't have the
and they've
berm
got the
shown
pond
on our
right
site
over here.
plan. I don't know
That
if the civil
entrance
plans
here,
are better.
because that entrance is closer to this intersection.
Oh, so it's
way
not
down here.
anywhere here?
No.
Okay.
Handley, yeah. Heatherly is up here.
Drawing, I think would be okay, quite honestly. The berm
This is the existing driveway, right?
You're much further south.
Yeah. Talking about their
would only be if people were going to the north, you might get some light trespass here, but
That's right
the berm physically is right here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the driveway.
The berm was directly across from the entrance/exit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You know, the lights would be,
Okay,
oh, don't hit me.
at least for
there.
that part, I think
Yeah.
that's all I had,
Okay,
at this
thank you,
point
Lily.
anyway.
Scott, anything before we move to deliberations? All right. Then at that point, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on application PZC 2024-08 and move to deliberation.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Castillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Glowaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Marks,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. Okay, Antonio, Vice Chairman, we defer to you.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I've got a lot of things here, based on what I heard. The biggest thing that seemed to be brought up by the people here in the audience is the price point of these homes. One, I don't see that there's any relevancy in that, in this project, in the sense that, hey, if somebody wants to pay the money, they pay it. If we take a look at pricing in Lake Zurich for the last, I'll stretch it out there, 10 years, and you put up the homes that are over there behind Lifetime off of Miller Road, and you put up other homes that are at Route 22 in Quentin, those homes all started at $700,000 and above. And they were sold. They were sold out.
Correct.
I take a look at the fact that people are buying homes. I was just umpiring yesterday at Hawthorne Woods, and now behind the baseball fields, all those homes are going up right behind the fields, and they've got price points of 9 and above to 1.3. You got sold signs all the way across. If they do anything, they bring up value for the homes that are already there. I mean, I'd want a home that is coming in at 5, 7, 800, 1,000, because that's just going to make my property go up. It's not gonna go down. I mean, that's mathematics.
What's the expression? The rising tide lifts all boats?
I think so. I do appreciate the comment that was made about, about crossing the street and potentially getting hit. It's interesting because I don't remember what city this was. I think it might be Cleveland or whatever. They now have it where on one side of the road, I'm not suggesting this, but on one side of the road, you grab a brick, you cross the road, and if a car comes, you throw the brick at the car. You get to the other side, you put the brick into the basket, and you wait for the other person to come. Because I know that's what I would be doing. I know that when I'm in the Costco parking lot or the Walmart, I've got my keys that are pretty heavy in my hand, and if somebody comes at me, the first thing I'm doing is knocking out that window on the driver's side, because they're crazy. I get that part.
Right.
So we have to do
Sarosh,
other things.
Another note for Public Works?
Yeah,
Brick
Basket of
boxes.
keys?
bricks. Again, I'm not condoning that. I'm simply saying I've seen this. It's interesting. When we talk about that particular area, and it's been interesting if we take a look at that area in and of itself and what has happened in that area over the years. I'm going to make a list of everything that's been built there over the last probably 10, 12 years, if not a little bit longer. In that area, we've got the Kits soccer field. We've got School District 95 and their building. We've got the Advocate, where Family Physicians is now. Okay, and that's a 3-story building, and they used to be, if we remember, a 1-story down on Main Street, right off of Main Street. You've got the Knights of Columbus. Originally, where the Knights of Columbus was, for those of you who may remember, originally there was a strip mall that was going to be coming through until the Knights of Columbus said, no, we want that property. Otherwise, that would have gone there, and that would have been complementing the old library, the post office that was there. There's now senior living. There's the ELA library. There's the police station. All these that have been built have not brought down the value of any of the homes in that area, okay? I understand that there are businesses. What I'm simply saying is that if we take a look at adverse effects of some projects, there has been no adverse effect based on these being what they are, businesses and other. So what I'm suggesting is, again, it has not had a detrimental effect within that area. It has not. So that said, for me, one of the things that I appreciate is that I made some of these issues the last meeting. Density, bring down the size of the buildings, look at some different things. Hey, you know what? They listened to me. And it wasn't just because I'm me. They happened to listen. All right, there they are. Yeah, thank you. So the point is that I like what I'm seeing here. I understand that nobody likes change. Nobody does. I don't care if you're in business. I don't care if it's personal. None of us like change. But this is going to happen. As one of the owners said, it's going to happen, whatever that is. You know, and so the question becomes, okay, so you make it smaller, let's put in a strip mall. Why not? We already considered one years ago. I'm not saying that that's where we should go. I'm simply saying that when I look at this and I saw the people who acquiesced and collaborated with Lifetime, who said the same thing, now you say, hey, they like the fact that Lifetime is there, the sanctuary is across the way, those values have gone up. It's just, it is what it is. Change is going to come. And I believe in the fact that unless this is something that is really showing me some really major detriment, you know, building the road. I believe that when Lifetime went in, we got the study. It costs $1 million a mile to put in the road. And that is what we took on Old Rand to put Lifetime in there. Right? We know what that is. We have the money in the buckets. We've got spread out. I'm sure that Public Works is looking at what has to be done. We have asked for sidewalks there. Mr. Patel, this is not the time right now. But if you want, oh, I'm so sorry.
Why can't we raise the hand? We have a, I mean, right?
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Patel.
We are supposed to be debating. You cannot just.
Mr. Patel.
Yeah, I will tell you where
Let me
it's at,
explain.
Mr. Patel, as the vice
No.
chair. No, I got it, Orlando.
Here are the procedures. We have closed public comment. We are now in deliberations. So it's not that we're ignoring you, and it's not that you don't have the opportunity to raise your hand. It's just we're in deliberations. The hearing is closed. Okay, thank you.
And if you heard me, I said not right now. I didn't say put it down. So that all said, we follow Robert's rules as close as we can. There is the quorum. Okay? That's where we're at. I get it, I saw you, I would have asked you. So, from my side, what I see, I see that the developer has done what has been asked and has been for many, many years, right? And so for me, I see this as a project that has a lot of more positives than it has negatives. That's where I'm at. Orlando, from this perspective, do you want to have Mr. Patel address whatever he wants, or do you want to go through everybody first?
No,
and
I
then-
think from a public comment standpoint, I think.
We're closed.
We're
Got it.
closed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Jake?
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of piggyback off what Antonio was saying. Talk to any housing expert today, and they will tell you single-family housing is not the solution to the housing crisis. Towns need to think more diversely about how they're addressing housing, and it's just a fact of reality. There's a housing crisis across the nation, and it's here in Illinois as well. And I want to point out the fact that this piece of land is proximal to Lake Zurich's downtown, and the community has told the Board of Trustees, we want a more walkable community. To Mr. Hilt's point, this is the prime opportunity to develop this sort of piece of land to make it a walkable community, to the point of developing Old Rand Road as a walkable corridor to get into downtown. So I do take a little bit of issue with why can't we just build more single-family houses? That's a problem across the United States, and single-family houses just aren't getting it done. And, I live in a single-family house, so I probably have a biased opinion, but I can see developments going up nearby me that are different than that. I don't take ire with the fact that housing needs to change. Change is a constant, to what Antonio was saying. So I do think this development does have more pros than cons at this point, and the willingness of the developer to acquiesce to the village's asks, they have a proven track record at this point. So I don't know how much more we could really extract before we go back to the drawing board. And to the Jorn's point, eventually a buyer will get tired. Eventually this process will reset for them, and that's an undue burden that the village can't levy upon them without good reason, and I just don't see that good reason at this point.
Good point. Thank you, Jake.
If I may, one more thing. Mr. Patel, for you and for anybody else who's out there, remember what Orlando said at the opening of this meeting. We are a recommending body. We don't make the decision. So from that perspective, for your comment, once it goes forward to the Board of Trustees, that's when you have that open door to make those kind of comments as well, so that you're not shut out. It's just that here it is where we do what we do, and then they'll do what they do.
Sean, before I go to you, there's one point I want to make, and that was I think what we need to focus on is part of what we're looking at doing this evening is the change in density to allow this project to go forward. And it was been referenced earlier about the zoning code. And we have explained in past meetings over different issues that the zoning code is a living document. It is subject to change. That's why we have zoning commission, planning zone commission, and when it's all part of how, if we look at the history of the village, I have a perspective of it from 1976. I have seen how the zoning has changed over the years. It is continually evolving, and it will continue to change. And to make this change in the location it is, this is what is, in terms of the industry, they call an infill development. And when you have a developer of the caliber of this gentleman that has been working on this for a couple of years with this very patient owner, I think that's the only reason is because of the partnership that they've had that have allowed us to obtain as many of the changes that we have been able to see in this process. And the resulting change is for a better project than we were looking at 2 years ago by far. Much better project. In fact, this project tonight is much better than what we saw just a month ago. So it has been a helpful, useful process. But in terms of how these meetings work, we've often referenced Lifetime as part of a sort of a marquee for what has happened. And with that project, one of the things we heard was the horror stories presented by an expert who testified that where lifetime centers go in, the property values go down. Well, Lifetime went in, property values did not go down. In fact, we saw an unusually higher percentage of growth of the immediate property values once they did sell them. And I recently saw driving down, sneaking in the back way to Bobbers, that there was a single-family home whose backyard backed up to the Lifetime parking lot that was a tear down, and they built a brand-new two-story home on that property. So they weren't concerned about property values when they bought the house to tear it down to build a new home. So, you know, I know that people are concerned that we're changing the character of the neighborhood, but by the density changes they've made with the open space that is still available on this site, I just don't see it. You know, I think from what the staff report has said and detailed out for us in terms of what those changes are being made and how it affects, is any change perfect in the sense of no impact? No, it wouldn't be, because all change has impact, but is it adverse impact? And my point is, I don't see it as adverse impact. I see it as a benefit, tying with what Mr. Marks said in terms of the walkability notion that the village is looking for. I don't know how many of these people here attended the sessions that were held by TESCA in terms of developing our comprehensive plan. But the input that they received was that the residents want exactly what Mr. Mark said. They want the walkability, and they want a downtown with activities. And this is an ideal location for this project to help meet the goals of what our comprehensive plan is looking to formulate, which is going to be rolled out this fall. It's been ongoing for almost, 9 months. They've done a lot of work on it, and there's a lot of information on the village website relative to the comprehensive plan. And this project is almost tailor-made for what the recommendations that the village residents said they were looking for to do. That's my comment. So now on to you, Sean. I took too much of your time. But
I thought going
get your time
third,
back.
I was going to be able to jump in with some original stuff, and I don't think so anymore. This is infill development in a transition area. I mean, to the north is the commercial institutional uses. Multifamily has been deemed appropriate by right of it happening throughout the village in transitional areas. And so to me, this is no different. We've seen an awful lot of changes here. As far as have they gone far enough, that's relative. But from my perspective, especially what we've seen tonight, a 10-foot, almost 11-foot decrease on the height along Old Rand Road is a significant change. I mean, that frankly was my major concern going into today's hearing. As far as public safety, traffic safety along Old Rand, I feel like that's been pretty beat up, but this is not fall solely on the developer. This is Public Works, this is Lake Zurich PD, this is, even links back to the comprehensive plan. We spent an awful lot of time talking about traffic calming measures and improvements that can be made throughout the village. This Old Rand is not the only road that has concerns, and certainly there's concerns there. I travel it daily. I live in single-family home as well, and near a full multifamily development, and this to me meets kind of what we were talking about in updating the village plan. It meets the needs for a transition area. Really nothing else from me.
Thank you, Sean. Sorry to take some of your thunder. Hildy?
Okay. I understand that, at least from the feedback that we've gotten from the residents that came to the meeting, the issue is townhouses, and people do not want townhouses. I can only concur with what the rest of them have said. I think the developer has done a lot to make it less dense from a townhouse standpoint. People want to stay in Lake Zurich. They don't want to leave Lake Zurich, and especially the two-story townhouses with the first floor master bedroom. That will be very attractive to people that are looking to downsize and stay in Lake Zurich. You can't argue that. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm thinking about that down the road as well, and I would love to stay in Lake Zurich, but right now, there's not a lot available. And these old knees aren't going to do the stairs that much. I do, I think, you know, I don't know what the requirement or what it's gonna look like in terms of the flashing lights at the intersection. I would like to make a plea that they be better than what's at the exit to Lifetime. I walk around Lake Zurich, literally the lake, practically every day. And right outside Lifetime, where the flashing lights are when you get into the cross, okay? There's many times I have to stop because the car is either gonna slam on their brakes or rushes through. Those little blinking things are useless. So there needs to be better flashing lights here than what maybe, you know, is at the intersection to Lifetime. Other than that, I don't really have too many comments. I think a lot of it has been addressed. I think this land is going to be developed. I think almost 11 feet reduction in height is huge. I think it's actually a two-story. I commend you for coming up with that. I think that was a really good idea. And then my only other comment is apparently I'm the only person in Lake Zurich that's ever been pulled over for speeding on Old Rand Road. Because I did get pulled over. Now, it's been many, many years, and I was only doing 39, 40 maybe. I don't know what it was, and I did cry.
Did it help or not?
No comment. That's for the police. That has to be, I mean, you know, we would make a fortune if we pulled people over by Lifetime, okay? Because that's supposed to be 25, and there's no left turn out of there, and yet people do it all the time. So if I was looking to make money, I'd park a police car right there. But anyway, other than that, I don't have any additional comments at this point. I think most of the concerns seem to have been addressed.
I agree. Thank you, Hildy.
Hildy, if I may, just one, over on Deer Chase, as you go down Deer Chase through Deer Park, they had that issue as well. They put in the bump. You gotta slow down. I'm not advocating for it, I'm simply saying because that road has a lot of traffic on it. But I mean, at some point, you have to take, you know, drastic measures. You just have to, because it is a matter of safety. And if we look at the plan that was put out, I think one of the things that they said in there is they wanted bike paths, and they wanted them to be safe, and they wanted sidewalks, and they wanted the sidewalks to be safe. And this does not allow that. So we have to look at those things, and if that's what Public Works has to look at and do something about it, because it is getting a little out of hand. You just listen to the comments today, and the ones that we continue to have over and over and over and over, and it's all about safety.
Right.
And that's why, if that comprehensive plan had that in it, then we need to address that,
Right.
and not with just those baby flashing lights.
But just for clarification, bike paths and those types of things are not any no matter who would go in there, that's not something they would address. That's the streets.
Correct.
That's the village's responsibility.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. Scott?
I don't know what I can say that hasn't already been said, being the last guy over here. One of the things that I had made a note of is the whole transition area. And again, I think this is a perfect spot for this type of development, for that type of transition. And the fact that the 3-story townhomes are confined to the inside of the development, I think that kind of helps with shielding the overall behemoth, if you will. The 11-foot reduction in height, I mean, that's 30%. That's significant. I don't care who you are, that's a significant amount of height reduction, especially being on the frontage of the road. So that's really all I have to say about that. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Scott. Yeah.
If I can address one thing that Mike brought up, he brought up the HOA. And anybody who's gonna move into this facility, if it goes forward, knows what they're buying into an HOA. Anybody who buys a condo downtown, anybody who buys anything, anytime you buy into an HOA, I mean, we have a condo downtown, you know, it's nuts, because the taxes are equal to what we pay in HOA for just the gym, and security and all this kind of stuff, you know, and it's high. But you know that going in, or you just don't buy there. So to Mike's point as to, is this something that is fair to the residents? Well, the residents don't have to buy into that facility and not pay the HOA, but those who are gonna do it. And they're gonna feel comfortable in doing it. That's why at the last meeting, I asked about the private streets. Who's gonna snow plow them? Who's gonna take care of them? And it's them. They'll take care of everything that has to be done on their property. That's the beauty of having that kind of facility in the HOA.
Right. Okay, good, thank you. All right, and I don't really have any, I'm sure the audience is happy to know, I don't have anything to add to my previous comment, because I do feel that as I mentioned last month, I know the architectural firm, Popular Thames, has an excellent reputation. I'm very pleased to see what they've done with this project and how they listened in the 1 month to make the changes so quickly to what they heard from the commission. That was remarkable. And I appreciate the patience that OSK has had on this project for the years that you've been working with it, and with the owners that you're dealing with and trying to come to that. So, but I myself feel that this is, when they talk about what commercial businesses want to see when they locate into a village like Lake Zurich, they want to see rooftops before they commit to providing their business services to us. And this provides those rooftops. Reduced number from what you intended originally, because of our request to lower the density, but you've done that, and so I think it's excellent. Okay. Are we ready to entertain a motion? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, I'd just like to kind of state one more thing.
Should we let them? I guess we will. Sure.
I just want to state that this development is being proposed for approval through the mechanism of a plan unit development. The plan unit development is specifically introduced into our zoning code to offer flexibility in the way individual properties, be they smaller or larger properties, are developed, because it clearly recognizes that there may be certain restrictions under the strict application of the zoning code through traditional bulk regulations such as setback areas and other physical constraints that may make certain properties more difficult to develop because of the physical characteristics of those properties. This is certainly one of them. As a reminder, you will see in our list of conditions, we recognize that there is a wetland area to the north and a stream that flows through it. So through the plan development process, the village has the ability to require certain items over and above what the strict application of the zoning code requires. And in this case, it is the stabilization of that stream bank, which is quite a significant expense on the part of the development. Other things that the village has been able to require is very solid landscape screening along the south side of the property in the form of the fence and the landscaping, which would be year-round landscaping, which would be over and above what the zoning code requires. Off-site improvements such as the sidewalk crossing and sidewalk extensions all the way to existing sidewalks north and south of the property. So those are things that the village has been able to make sure that those items such as necessary items, items that could serve as both amenities to the users of the subdivision as well as citizens of the village, those are incorporated into it. So I just wanted to mention that that is also part of this. The other thing I'd like to mention, since the question about maintenance of roads and snow plowing and all of that comes up, yes, at this point, it will be the responsibility of the HOA. But the village has been, in the past 8 years, been implementing this mechanism known as a backup special service area, where if the village finds that an HOA, for whatever reason, defaults on its responsibility to maintain common public areas, detention areas, not perform the snow plowing, the village then has the ability to levy a tax on those property owners, that tax amount being set prior to property owners even purchasing the home. This is done when the developer is still the owner of the property, so that any future property owner that buys a home is fully aware that there is this mechanism in place and that their HOA is responsible for all of these duties, but if they do default, that the village does have that ability. That really helps the village, provides the village with, I would say, a comfort level, knowing that if the HOA defaults, it's not just going to lay to waste, but measures will be taken. This is done typically through a development agreement that we will be undertaking with the developer that will provide for all of these terms and conditions. That's what I wanted to mention.
All right, Sarosh, I'm glad we let you say that. It was a good call, you guys. Good call. All right, and to add into what you said about it being the PUD, that flexibility, because for instance, the homes fronting on Bushing, under the PUD, they're allowed
Certain setback relief.
certain setback variances that wouldn't normally be done.
Correct.
So we're not setting a precedent for the village. This is done because it's under the PUD.
Yes, under very close examination of the context in which this development is being proposed.
All right, good, thank you. All right, then, having heard that clarification, I would entertain a motion on application PZC 2024-08 to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance of this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff, and to receive the testimony presented by the applicants, by members of the public, by the PZC members, and by village staff at tonight's public hearing, and to make these standards and testimony a part of the official record for the application and findings of the PCC, and to recommend that the village board approve the application for a special use permit for planned unit development, PUD, and map amendment for the development of the property with a mix of single-family homes and townhomes located within the R12 single-family residential district.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Lee. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Castillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Glowaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Marks,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. So I think the changes, the work that you've done to bring this revised project to us is affirmed by the fact that you have a solid recommendation from this village, unanimous, from this commission to move forward to the village board. So I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, do we know the date, Sarosh?
We don't have a date at this point because we do need to still work with the developer to work out all of the changes to the rest of the exhibits. Today, what they proposed to you was still the concept showing the changes on the site plan and the views. But there are other documents such as preliminary engineering, preliminary landscaping that would need to be concurrently changed. And so once we have that, we will review that and then a date would be determined. But all of that will need to be submitted to us prior to going before the village board.
We'll work with staff to do that. So you have some work ahead of you yet. So Heather, you're not done, Heather. You're gonna be back at the boards yet.
But they don't need to come back to this body.
Thank you. Okay, in that, should we just take a short
Short break?
recess?
Yes, I would
And
recommend it.
Our gentleman from 865 Tulsa's here, then we'll move to that.
Yes, he is still here. And if you are willing to indulge, we have one applicant who has asked to be heard today. And I said that if we come around 8:30-ish, there may be a good chance. So if you want to take a short break, we can.
Yeah, go grab something. Go
Yeah,
for it.
there is a refreshment.
Sure, certainly.
You said something at the last meeting that I've only heard twice in my career. It's something I always wanted to say, but at the beginning of the conversation. And that is, you're chairman in Naperville about 40 years ago. Turned the
Everyone, thank you for your patience. So our short recess is over, so we're going to move forward on the next item on the agenda, which the applicant had requested we hold tonight instead of delaying until tomorrow, so we're going to do that at his request. So the application PZC 2024-10 for 865 Tulsa Road, a special use permit. This is an application for a special use permit for a high-end automotive detailing business within an industrial tenant space located in the I Industrial District. Staff, could you now please introduce the applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have the owners of Luminescent Detailing, Mr. Frank Travaglio.
Correct.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly? I know I was supposed to have done it 3 years ago, 4 years ago when you were here. Yes.
No worries. It's,
Yeah, they're here to make a brief request for a special use permit to allow them to move from one location in the industrial park to another. They're currently at an industrial space, a tenant space on Donata Court. The adjacent property owner has indicated that he wishes to expand, and so they've been looking for new space. They found new space, but because their land use requires a special use permit, they're here tonight. Mr. Travaglio, go ahead.
yeah, so that, thanks for that. It's pretty much sums up why I'm here. So, first of all, I've been running and operating out of Lake Zurich at 904 Donata Court for about 5 years. So I was here at this meeting, I think in 2019, when I was seeking the original approval. And now, as he stated, my landlord and friend, which is sitting behind me, his business is blowing up. My business is also expanding. So we're essentially just trying to find a new space, and we found a space, and that's why I'm here today, to get another special use so that we're allowed to move at 865 Tulsa, which is only a block away.
So if the recommendation goes forward, you'll still be a friend?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. That's the plan. Yeah.
Okay, commissioners, any question of the petitioner? You should continue to harass him? No. The one thing, Frank, is that, as we state often, we get staff review of the petitions, and they help us with what we call the cheat sheet. Under their review of it, if they give us green font, it means everything's good. If it's yellow font, there's cautions. If there's red, then there's a problem. Your petition packet is, as you probably saw already, it's all green font, which means they agree with what is happening. And we rely on staff because they're the ones that take time to go through all the code stuff about what it's supposed to mean, and they do that well for us. So you're all green. So I will look to Antonio to see what his comments are.
Mike, any comments? Then, again, as I said when he first was before us many years ago, I'm all in. It's okay.
Jake?
I am all good. No
Okay.
comment.
Same, no comment.
Hildy?
No comment.
I don't have a question. How high-end? Does it have to be before, no, I'm just kidding. Like, my Honda
I can
Civic,
answer
can I
that.
get your?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I think, Frank, this is going to be pretty easy for you tonight. If there are no other questions, anyone from the audience wish to make a comment on this item? Okay, hearing none, then are we ready to move to deliberation?
Sure.
Seeing a lot of yeses, okay. So then I would first close the hearing. So I entertain a motion to close the public hearing on application PZC 2024-10 and move to deliberation.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Castillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Glowaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Marks,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. Any more deliberation? No. All right, then I would entertain a motion to receive on application PZC 2024-10, to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance of this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff, and receive the testimony presented by the applicants, by the PZC members, and by village staff at tonight's public hearing, and make these standards and testimony a part of the official record for the application and findings of the PCC, and to recommend that the village board approve the application for a special use permit for a high-end automotive detailing business within an industrial tenant space located in the I Industrial District.
So moved.
Gildy?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Call the roll, please. Colleen?
Commissioner Castillo.
Aye.
Commissioner Glowacz.
Aye.
Commissioner Marks.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz.
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. So, it is all recommended by us to go forward to the village board at an upcoming meeting in August.
In August, yes. I'll let you know what that date is, most likely the 5th of August.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Good luck. Okay, the next item will be to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for the remaining applicants until tomorrow, Thursday, July 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Castillo.
Aye.
Commissioner Glowacz.
Aye.
Commissioner Marks.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz.
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. So we have no other business. How about staff report?
Of course, we have two items tomorrow, 909 South Rand and 1073 Avery Ridge Circle, one for a special use permit for a cannabis dispensary at 909 South Rand Road, and a fence variation for the property at Avery Ridge.
Don't we have three? But
We-
one is gonna be,
The one we just
No,
heard?
one we just
We just did
did.
this.
The third,
I thought there were four.
one was withdrawn.
That's okay,
Yes,
but
yes,
So, but basically it's
yes.
withdrawn, but we still have to address it tomorrow.
No, they withdrew it before we even published. Yes, they withdrew it well
So
before.
tomorrow night should be,
Yes,
could be, okay.
that was the one at 80 East Main Street.
No, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
So then, having nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Nope, wait,
I have a question.
okay.
Okay.
Can you bring us up to date? Since we have a dispensary coming before us tomorrow, can you bring us up to date on the current dispensary?
That's true.
So they've
Good
been
point.
working on it.
They have been working really hard on it. They have requested an extension from their July 1 date. That extension has not been granted just yet. There are still discussions going on between administrative staff and the owners. But they are working on it. They have been giving us progress reports twice a week. We have our staff going out to make sure that their progress reports actually match what's going on the ground or on the property. And to a large part, yes, they do match. But at the end of it would remain to be seen whether they would meet all of the requirements that the manager has for that property, and we shall soon know that. Because they have passed their deadline of July 1st, and a decision will be made shortly.
Yeah, that's where, for me, if you recall, I was one of the proponents for only having one dispensary in Lake Zurich. And now we're looking at potentially two, or one, if one doesn't go through. And I have no idea as to where we are. So that's kind of, for me, I mean, I get it.
I will
that we
share
have-
that there is a decision likely to be made tomorrow as well. So if
And-
I do get that, I will bring it up at the meeting tomorrow evening.
I would
before your
appreciate it, because,
meeting.
you know, if Ray's gonna give the extension for whatever reason, and that's fine, because I've always said, if it wasn't July 1st, what's the penalty, and going from there?
Yep.
But I have to understand where, because it is also my understanding that there's potentially a third. So, we're starting to, at least for me. You know, I don't have a full deck, and I like having full decks. Thank you.
By that you mean all the information?
Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry?
As
I
opposed
said,
to.
by that you mean having all the information? Well, you know, okay. All right. Anything else, anyone? All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Castillo.
Yeah, I gotta ponder this. Aye.
Commissioner Glowacz.
Aye.
Commissioner Marks.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz.
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Okay, so then just for tomorrow, I told
Thank you very much.
George
Throw-
that-
I'm sorry, I do it often.
I think I know. I may be as close as I can to that
Okay.
7th, so, but I'll be coming from